The champagne flute trembled slightly in my hand as I watched Vanessa Stone accept congratulations from the executive team. 6 weeks. She'd been at Morrison Industries for 6 weeks, and somehow she was now vice president of marketing, the position I'd worked toward for 7 years. Some people just have it, some don't, she said, catching my eye across the conference room. Her smile was perfectly crafted, like everything else about her. Natural leadership can't be taught, Emma. I raised my glass in a toast, my own smile never wavering. Congratulations, Vanessa. Well deserved. The lie tasted bitter, but I'd gotten good at swallowing those. Being married to David Stone meant being family to Vanessa, and family meant playing nice even when your husband's cousins steamrolled over your career. Emma's been so helpful, Vanessa announced to the room, her voice carrying that particular tone of condescension dressed as gratitude. She'll be invaluable in transitioning her projects to me. Won't you, Emma? Of course, I replied. Whatever's best for the company. Gerald Morrison, our CEO, beamed at the family harmony. This is why I love having the Stone family as part of our Morrison Industries family. Such supportive dynamics. I excused myself to the bathroom, needing a moment away from the suffocating congratulations. In the mirror, I saw what 7 years of dedication looked like. Tired eyes, stress lines I hadn't noticed forming, and the practiced smile of someone who'd been passed over too many times to count. My phone buzzed. David, heard the news. So proud of Vanessa. Family dinner tonight to celebrate. I stared at the message. Proud of Vanessa. Not sorry about your promotion, or this isn't fair to you. Just pride for his cousin who'd waltzed in 6 weeks ago with her Harvard MBA and family connections. But something bothered me about Vanessa's arrival. It had been too smooth, too perfect. Gerald had created the VP position specifically for her, claiming we needed fresh perspectives and innovative leadership. Yet in 6 weeks, I'd never seen her propose a single original idea. Back at my desk, I pulled up Vanessa's LinkedIn profile. Harvard MBA, class of 2018. Previous role, Senior Marketing Director at Pinnacle Corporation. Before that, Marketing Manager at 3 different Fortune 500 companies. An impressive resume for someone who was only 32. Too impressive. I knew Pinnacle Corp well. We'd partnered with them last year. On impulse, I texted my contact there, Melissa Hartley. Hey Mel, quick question. Did you ever work with Vanessa Stone when she was Senior Marketing Director there? The response came quickly. Who? We've never had anyone by that name. My heart rate picked up. I checked Vanessa's resume again. Pinnacle Corp, 2019 to 2021. Senior Marketing Director, managing a team of 15. Another text to Melissa. You're sure? Vanessa Stone, 2019 to 2021. Emma, I've been here since 2017. No Vanessa Stone. Ever. I sat back in my chair, mind racing. If she hadn't worked at Pinnacle, what else on her resume was fabricated? And more importantly, how had she gotten past Morrison Industries background checks? Over the next 2 weeks, I became a detective in my own life. During the days, I smiled and transitioned my projects to Vanessa, watching her fumble through concepts that should have been basic for someone with her supposed experience. In the evenings, I researched. The Harvard MBA checked out barely. She'd graduated, but not with the honors listed on her resume. The other companies were harder to verify. Conveniently, her supposed supervisors had all left or couldn't be reached. LinkedIn profiles that should have shown connections yielded nothing. But the smoking gun came from an unexpected source. Emma, do you have those Asia-Pacific market reports? Janet from finance asked, popping into my cubicle. Vanessa has them now. She's presenting to the board next week. Janet frowned. She asked me for historical data going back 5 years. Seemed odd for someone who supposedly led the Asian expansion at her last job. My spine straightened. She led an Asian expansion? According to her resume. Increased market share by 40% or something. Janet shrugged. Though when I asked her about regulatory challenges in Singapore, she looked at me like I was speaking Greek. That night, I did something I'd never done before. I paid for a professional background check service. Not the basic one HR departments use, but the deep dive investigation that journalists employ. The report arrived 3 days before Vanessa's board presentation. Reading it felt like watching a house of cards in slow motion, waiting for the first breeze. Vanessa Stone had worked at exactly one of the companies listed on her resume, as an entry-level coordinator, not a manager. The Pinnacle Corp role was completely fabricated. Two of the companies she'd listed didn't even have marketing departments during her supposed tenure there. But the most damning discovery was her reason for leaving her last real job, terminated for expense report fraud. I sat in my home office, staring at the evidence. My husband's cousin, the woman who'd stolen my promotion, was a complete fraud. The question was, what to do with this information? Going to Gerald directly felt risky. Vanessa had already charmed him, and family politics made everything complicated. HR was an option, but they'd failed to catch this in their background check. Would they even believe me? Then I remembered the board presentation. Vanessa would be presenting the Asia-Pacific expansion strategy. My strategy, developed over 2 years of careful research. But if she didn't understand the markets, if she couldn't answer detailed questions, I made my decision. The night before the presentation, I sent an anonymous package to Charles Whitman, chairman of the board. Inside were specific questions about the Asian markets, regulatory challenges, and strategic decisions. Questions only someone who'd actually worked in those markets could answer. At the bottom, a simple note. Ask her about her time at Pinnacle Corporation. The next morning, I arrived early and took my usual seat in the back of the boardroom. Vanessa strutted in wearing a designer suit that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment, radiating confidence. Good morning, everyone, she began, clicking through slides I recognized as my own work. I'm excited to share our vision for Asian expansion. For 20 minutes, she presented beautifully. She'd memorized my talking points, delivered them with polish. The board members nodded along, impressed by the thorough analysis. Then Charles Whitman cleared his throat. Ms. Stone, excellent presentation. I have a few questions about implementation. Of course, Vanessa smiled. When you led the Asian expansion at Pinnacle Corp, what regulatory challenges did you face in Singapore specifically? The color drained from Vanessa's face. Well, there were various challenges. Compliance issues, mainly. Could you be more specific? Section 47B of their Marketing Standards Act, for instance. Silence. Vanessa's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Perhaps you could tell us about your team at Pinnacle? Who is your regional director? It's been a few years. Charles leaned forward. Ms. Stone, did you actually work at Pinnacle Corp? The boardroom became a tomb. Gerald Morrison looked between Charles and Vanessa, his expression morphing from confusion to alarm. I think there's been a misunderstanding, Vanessa stammered. No misunderstanding, Charles said, pulling out a folder. I received some interesting information yesterday. Made a few calls. Pinnacle Corp has no record of you. Neither does Stratton Industries or Global Marketing Solutions. This is ridiculous, Vanessa tried to rally. My credentials speak for themselves. Do they? Another board member, Patricia Chun, interjected. Because I just got off the phone with Harvard. You graduated, yes, but not with honors. And certainly not with the leadership awards you've listed. Gerald stood up, his face red. Vanessa, please tell me there's an explanation. But Vanessa was already gathering her things, her hands shaking. I don't have to listen to this. Actually, you do, Charles said calmly. Falsifying employment history is fraud. The board will be recommending immediate termination and potential legal action. Vanessa looked around the room wildly, her eyes landing on me. For a moment, something flickered there. Recognition? Suspicion? Then she fled, her heels clicking rapidly down the hallway. The boardroom erupted in chaos. Gerald was apologizing profusely, Charles was calling legal, and Patricia was already on the phone with HR. I sat quietly in my corner, invisible as always. Emma, Charles's voice cut through the noise. Could you stay, please? The rest of you are dismissed. Soon it was just Charles, Gerald, and me in the vast boardroom. We owe you an apology, Charles said simply. You should have had that promotion. How did you know? Gerald asked, bewildered. I could have lied, claimed ignorance. But I was tired of playing games. I didn't initially. But when someone with 6 weeks of experience gets promoted over someone with 7 years, you start asking questions. The answers were illuminating. You sent the package, Charles said. It wasn't a question. I nodded. Gerald sank into his chair. I feel like a fool. I was so impressed by her resume, her confidence. Con artists usually are impressive, Charles said dryly. That's how they succeed. Emma, the VP position is yours if you want it. God knows you've earned it. I thought about the 7 years of building campaigns, nurturing client relationships, developing strategies that Vanessa had tried to claim as her own. I'll take it. But I want a 30% salary increase and a written commitment to transparent promotion processes going forward. Charles smiled. Done. Gerald, I believe you have some paperwork to prepare. That evening, David came home to find me packing up my home office. What's going on? He asked, then his face darkened. I heard about Vanessa. Did you have something to do with that? I revealed the truth, I said simply. Your cousin is a fraud who built her entire career on lies. She's family. So am I. When did that start mattering? He stared at me, this woman he'd been married to for 9 years, but apparently never really knew. You destroyed her career. No, David. She destroyed her career the moment she decided to lie. I just refused to let her destroy mine in the process. The divorce papers were filed within a month. David couldn't forgive me for exposing Vanessa, and I couldn't forgive him for expecting me to sacrifice my career for his family's fraud. Vanessa disappeared, though rumors suggested she'd moved across the country to start over with a new name and, hopefully, a real resume. I thrived as VP of marketing. Turns out, when you actually have the experience you claim, the job isn't that hard. Morrison Industries' Asian expansion succeeded beyond projections. My projections finally attached to my name. 6 months later, at an industry conference, a young woman approached me after my keynote speech. Ms. Morrison, she said hesitantly, I'm in a similar situation. My manager is taking credit for my work, and I just found out half her resume is fake. But she's connected, protected. What should I do? I handed her my business card. Document everything. Verify what you can. And remember, the truth has a way of surfacing, especially when someone brave enough helps it along. She smiled, looking less defeated already. Thank you. Your presentation was inspiring. Just sharing my experience, I said. Some people have it, some don't. And those who don't often try to steal it from those who do. Walking back to my hotel, I thought about Vanessa's words at that champagne toast. She'd been right about one thing: natural leadership couldn't be taught. But it also couldn't be faked, no matter how impressive your fictional resume. The truth always wins. Sometimes it just needs a little help during the board presentation.